Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
I'm Ian Richards, welcoming you to InFocus, a weekly program that takes a closer look at developments within and across the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. Here in the Federation, the way we shop, do business, and access services is changing rapidly. Technology is transforming everyday life. Think of mobile banking. And of course, the technology is now transforming the way consumers are protected in the Federation. The Consumer Affairs Department is preparing to launch a new website and mobile application designed to make consumer rights information, price monitoring, complaint submissions, and enforcement processes more accessible than ever before. What does this mean for you as a consumer? How will these new digital platforms strengthen transparency, accountability, and enforcement? With us today to answer these questions and more are Paul Queeley, the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs, Tricia Delaney, the Communications Officer within the Department of Consumer Affairs. And also with us is Christopher Herbert, Program Manager at the Digital Transformation Unit. Stay with us for InFocus as we explore consumer protection in the digital age.
There is a new way to stay informed and shop smart. Introducing the SKN Smart Shopper app, designed to put consumer protection in the palm of your hands. Stay up to date with consumer alerts and market trends. Compare prices of everyday essentials and plan your shopping using real, verified information. And if there is ever a problem, you can file a complaint and track it from submission to resolution quickly and transparently. Download the SKN Smart Shopper app today and make every shopping decision with confidence.
Thanks for staying with us and allow me to welcome Mr. Queeley, Ms. Delaney, and also Mr. Herbert. Mr. Herbert, it's the first time for you, so a special welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Of course, Mr. Queeley and Ms. Delaney has been here before, so welcome back to InFocus.
Thank you.
Okay. So as we mentioned at the top, of course, the topic for today's discussion is consumer protection in the digital age. But before we speak about the digital part of it, I wanted to find out what consumer protection looks like right now in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Well, from the Department of Consumer Affairs, as it stands, our workload basically focuses around field visits, basically. Officers, on a weekly basis, they visit supermarkets, random supermarkets. They collect pricing information for the food basket items, and they remove expired items from the shelves when they're conducting inspections. Outside of that, we handle consumer complaints. Somebody might have an issue with a product that they purchase, and they will come to the department, fill out a complaint form. Our investigation team would visit the business to see if there's any merit to the claim, because persons can actually fill out a form and they can come to the department with frivolous claims. So we have to visit the business to make sure that the issue that they're reporting is actually legit. If it's a situation where the person would need to get a refund, we would try and facilitate that with the business. On the back end, we do price analysis to monitor the fluctuation in the prices of the food basket. But those reports are usually in-house. The purpose of that is to really see what's going on with the prices in the market. And if we see that something is actually abnormal, we may visit the business and ask what is happening with that particular product, or we could draw it to the attention of the minister for further action, because these are price control items and they can't be going outside of a specific price markup margin.
And does the department get a lot of frivolous claims, as you call them?
No, we don't. I have never remembered a case with that, to be honest with you. What we have had is persons in particular businesses who want to give consumers a hard time. So we end up having to step in and tell them what the law is, and after that they would comply with what their requirements are under the law.
Right. Okay, so certainly that's important for consumers to know what the law is, so that they can help to protect themselves. Ultimately, we are responsible for our own protection in the first instance, whether it be insecurity at home, personal on the street when we're walking, or of course, as you mentioned, as a consumer. So why is now the right time to launch a website and a mobile application? Persons looking for this on television live, they would have just seen, or on social media, they would have seen an exciting new trailer that you all have. So why now?
Well, to be honest, we've been working on this for quite some time, you know. We started the digital transformation journey in 2016. I don't know if you would recall, we had an application, the same SKN Smart Shopper app that was launched back in 2016. But due to developer reasons or issues, it became non-functional. So persons would meet us now and again, and they would tell us that this was a very good application and they would like to see something come back on stream that they could utilize to see the prices in the market. So we sat down and we brainstormed, and we eventually reached out to the Digital Transformation Unit to get going with this new program, and we wanted it to be better than the one that was there before. In terms of launching it now, consumers are very, how to say, they are aware of their rights, you could say. They want value for their money. So by launching it now, we give them access to the prices in the market. There's transparency. Persons could not be trying to do price gouging, I would say, because all the prices would be listed from the various suppliers or supermarkets who would be selling those particular items. So they would be able to see who is actually selling it at the highest point, and they could alter their purchases to best suit their pocket.
Anything you care to add, Mr. Delaney?
Oh, he covered it perfectly fine.
Okay, all right. So, because you're the one who really interacts with the public, you're out there as the one selling the message of the department. So you play a very important role. So, since we're going to talk a bit about the app, tell us about some of the key features, very briefly. And of course, it's an open question. Key features of the new app and the website, and how will this impact consumer rights and protection? And I don't necessarily want you to go too in-depth, because we want to do a segment later on more in-depth of the different features, but talk to us a bit about the features.
Okay, well, there are many features on both platforms, but my top 3 features would be the price tracking feature, the digital complaint submission feature, and the easy access to consumer protection laws. We feel that these 3 features will bring accountability and transparency in one place, all together in one place. As for consumer rights information, it is laid out on the platforms in plain, simple language, so even those who are not tech savvy will be able to access this information and improve their purchasing decisions, or just improve on what they know about the market and what their rights are and what actions they could take if any issues arise.
Is it a summary of what the law is, or is it the law itself? What exactly will they find there?
Well, we have a direct link on the platforms to the actual Consumer Protection Act of 2023. Also on the platforms, we will be breaking down the different sections of the Act under the Consumer Corner section of the app and the website. So we'll break down all that legal jargon for people to go and read for themselves. But the actual Act is linked on both platforms.
Right, very important. Before I come to you, Mr. Herbert, about the key designs of the app, Mr. Queeley, I'll come back to you and ask what's the difference between what was before and the previous app and what is now?
The previous app was mainly to display food basket prices. This new app, it will still have a price tracking feature for those items, and I want to make it clear that when we speak about monitoring prices on the applications or the web page, we're only speaking about the food basket items. It's not every item that is sold in a supermarket.
So I can't see what's on the Cheetos price.
No. But the app is a tremendous upgrade from the initial platform. It allows persons to now submit complaints from their smartphone. You can track the price movements of the food basket items. It can give you an analysis, a basic analysis of over time how this product has changed in price. It gives you access to the consumer laws, as Mrs. Delaney mentioned. So it's kind of like a mirror of the web page, but a simplified mirror, you could say.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Herbert, why a web page and an application?
Great question. Also, this is very much tethered with the government's current initiatives towards digital transformation. Yes, the information has been there via phone call. They could have done that. However, the feel, I would say, behind this transition is one of democratization. We are pretty much providing the information directly accessible to the general public. Transitioning from that stage where the suppliers of the goods and services had all of this information, now it's literally in the hands of the consumer. They're able to see very clearly precisely what their rights are, what the legislation is, and right down to the price tracking. It's right in their hands. They're able to interact with the Department of Consumer Affairs from the palm of their hands, and rest assured that they will be responded to in a manner that they can have sight of. Mm-hmm. Increases comfort.
And so what would you say influenced the design of this website and the new application as well too?
I would say the Department of Consumer Affairs design. They played an integral role. There are multiple stakeholders in the process, but a key aspect in terms of look and feel was based on what their desires were. They know precisely what they would have experienced in their previous iterations, and they were very clear as to what they wanted the look and feel to embrace. We, of course, ensured that there was an adherence to user interface and user experience best practices, ensuring that our discussions with the technology ministry's development team, that we were adhering to standards, best practices, but the look and feel and what the needs of the consumer were and are were very clearly articulated by the Consumer Affairs team.
During the development stage, our main focus was to provide something that was clean and modern in design. We focused on comfortability, ease of accessing using the platforms, and plain language, plain simple language. So we feel like it will be accessible to all. So we made sure we communicated that with Mr. Herbert and his team and the developers.
Was there any sort of public consultation or public feedback or a testing period that was done for the new website and app to determine how they would use it and whether there's some kinks that needs to be worked out?
Yes, there was multiple levels of testing. We did testing from our end, and then IT also did testing from their end. In terms of the public testing it, we basically use people within our ministry, not just Consumer Affairs, but within the ministry before going to the public. So we use outside factors to help guide us on how to make those platforms even better.
And Mr. Herbert, in an age of AI and deep fakes and hacking, what measures are in place to ensure that the platforms, that's the website, and also the mobile application are secure, reliable, and of course, stable?
It's a wonderful question. Thank you for that. In our transition to digitization, security plays a critical role. And a key aspect of the DTU's involvement is assurance and ensuring that these best practices are adhered to. So with regards to security, some of the, I would say, least privileged best practices, we ensure that where information is being collected by persons, the general public, that the least required information is captured. We would not want to overburden persons or raise a sense of discomfort with regards to what information they are provided when they are making a complaint, when they are even seeking to contact. So it's the least privilege approach is being utilized, as well as, of course, the necessary encryption approaches, ensuring that whatever they are transiting to us is indeed protected by the best practice in transit, transmission of data, encryption technologies. Yeah? You've asked a very large question with regards to issues of scalability and reliability. I'm not certain how much in depth you would like me to go there.
Well, I would say so that the public can understand.
Okay. All right. I would say for reliability, the idea here is to ensure that what is encoded aligns itself to the best of the various platforms. So we have the application that's not just for Android phones, so the Samsung users out there and the Pixel users, it is coded for their devices, as well as for those persons who prefer the iOS, the Apple ecosystem. The idea is to utilize technology that depends on native components, as we call it, instead of creating very customized technologies that could potentially break. We use what works best with the iOS environment and what works best with the Android environment, ensuring that what is presented would present less of a possibility of breakage going forward. Scalability, we do as much as we can to ensure that the platforms that we are hosting the applications on can be scaled up responsively if we recognize that there are particular aspects of the application or website that the general public are utilizing most vigorously. We can scale up our hosting environment to address that, as well as, of course, we have some dynamic approaches where the systems literally see that there is an influx of traffic, there is a heavy focus on particular services within the application, and it dynamically increases or throttles the access to those services. So quite a bit has been done to try to ensure that the interaction with the application and the website is smooth for the general public.
So if you're hesitant to, well, for whatever reason, download the app, maybe you don't have space on your phone, for those with an older models, and they would prefer to use the website, they could do that comfortably on their phones. They won't necessarily need a computer or a different device.
Precisely. The website is browser-based. It can run in a Chrome browser, Safari browser, it can run in an Edge browser. So it's very much cross-platform enabled. Yes.
Mr. Queeley, let me come back to you, because you mentioned, of course, that it would monitor the prices of goods within the basket of goods. That for those who may not be aware, what products essentially are in the basket of goods?
We have frozen chicken, frozen meats, peas, lard substitutes, toilet paper, toothpaste, detergent, cheese, but it's not every cheese you would see in the supermarket. It is the bulk cheese in the tin that the supermarkets usually cut up. It's 23 categories.
It's a list.
Yes.
And then that list also embodies essential medication. So consumers could go to our Facebook page right now and they would see that same list pinned at the top of the Facebook page.
And it's a question that you may not be able to answer, but I'll ask it still anyway. It was mentioned that there is consideration by the cabinet to expand the basket of goods. Has that reached at the department level, or is that still at the policy making level?
Well, actually, we created a survey last year, and we got tremendous feedback from that. And the idea was to really find out what persons are actually purchasing frequently, and if they align with what's in the food basket right now. And what we had seen is that a lot of the responses are items that are not inside the food basket. So possibly after the launch of this application and web page, our next focus would be trying to convey to the powers that be that the food basket needs revising. So it has not gone to the cabinet level. It was just an initial survey to gauge what's going on with the public.
Right, but it already has the attention, of course, of the Prime Minister and, of course, the senior minister responsible for Consumer Affairs would be the Honourable Dr. Denzil Douglas, and the Prime Minister, of course, would be the Honourable Dr. Terence True. And so they would have mentioned it. So there is that movement, so to speak, to recognize, what's happening on the ground and adjust accordingly. Okay, so you're talking about this new app and this website. Let's talk a bit about essentially, you're here today to really build the conversation and let persons know what's going on. So what are your strategies? Besides coming on InFocus, of course, which is a wonderful way to start, quite frankly. What strategies are there to really engage the public and let them know about the app?
Well, we are taking public education to the next level with these pre-launch activities, because we feel that in order for the digital platforms to be effective, people have to understand them and trust them. So public education plays a big role before the launch and is going to remain a big role after the launch. So we have been posting a lot on our social media page. SKNIS has also been posting a lot on their page. Our minister posts on his page, and from DTU's side, they also post on their page. So we are using social media basically as the way to channel the information to consumers right now.
Okay. And so your message to persons who are not necessarily comfortable with technology or may feel like the government is trying to influence their shopping habits, what do you say to them?
Well, the government is not trying to influence their shopping decisions. What we are trying to do is to provide them with information so they could make more informed choices. Because if, for instance, the price tracking feature on the app, you will be able to plan your shopping ahead of going into the stores. So you'll be able to look at, I'm just going to name random supermarkets, look at Rams, Best Buy, Value Mart, and if you're going to be shopping, let's say, for meats, you'll be able to see the price of meats across these supermarkets and decide where you want to shop. We also feel that this would encourage healthy competition amongst the businesses as well. So right now, we feel like these platforms would be very beneficial to the consumers and also to the businesses, because maybe a lot of the businesses think that we are just here for enforcement and to get down on them, but the platforms will also enable them to stay informed and build compliance, because they'll have direct access to the same information that consumers have and direct access to the laws.
So, Mr. Herbert, you're the technology man. Don't be afraid of the technology. Use the tools that you have.
Most definitely. The idea is to not exclude persons at all, but to just raise their level of comfort. If the application is too difficult to utilize, which we do not expect, but the beauty is that we expect that persons will communicate that with us. So the first few weeks, the first few months of the deployment of the application, we are truly encouraging persons to reach out. Any difficulties in the use of the app, any areas of improvements that they feel could just make it a more accessible, easily accessible space for them to see the information and truly make benefit of it, please reach out. We will continue to attempt to refine the application to make it even more pleasurable an experience for them to truly put their hands on things. We truly need the general public to shape the environment here in St. Kitts, and the use of the app allows their inputs to contribute to the policy decisions and so on.
This is the perfect time for us to take our first break, and then when we get back, we'll delve more into the details of the applications. Of course, you mentioned the price tracking, you mentioned the complaint submission, so we want to talk a bit more about them and how they will work as well. So we'll be right back. Stay there, viewers and listeners. We'll be right back with more In Focus.
Meet Lisa, smart, savvy, and shopping on a budget. She spots her favorite treat on the shelf for just $10. Delighted by the deal, she picks up 2. But at the checkout, they ring up at $15 each. Confused, Lisa points out that the shelf showed a lower price. The cashier simply responds, "Well, you will have to pay the price in the system." But Lisa isn't so easily dismissed. She contacts the Consumer Affairs Department to clarify the issue.
This situation is known as dual pricing, when the shelf price and the register price don't match. According to the Consumer Protection Act of 2023, consumers must be charged the lower of the 2 prices. Businesses that fail to comply will face a fixed penalty of $750 for violating consumer protection laws.
Once informed, the cashier allows her to pay the lower price, and Lisa leaves the store confident she paid the right amount.
Welcome back to InFocus. We continue our conversation with Mr. Paul Queeley, the Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs, Tricia Delaney, the Communications Officer at Consumer Affairs, and Mr. Christopher Herbert, who is a Program Manager at the Digital Transformation Unit. And we're talking a bit about this new app and application, website and application that the department has that will really benefit consumers here in St. Kitts and Nevis and raise consumer protection to a new standard. And as we speak about consumer protection, Mr. Queeley, you actually have the list, and you can share a bit more about the basket of good items.
Yes, sure. The list that I was speaking to earlier, it comprises of chicken frozen, meats frozen, fish frozen, meat salted and in brine, that's your saltfish. No, your pig snout, sorry. Fish salted and in brine, that's saltfish. Vienna sausage, cornmeal, dried peas, cereal, butter, margarine, pasta products, cheddar cheese, sardines, tuna and fish, fresh fruits and vegetables, toothpaste, lard and substitutes, cooking oil, rice, toilet paper, medicated soap, that's your Dettol soap, detergent, the powdered version, and disposable diapers for adults and children. And apart from that, we have essential medications, antihistamines, hypertensive agents, anti-diabetic agents, miotics, anti-cholesterol drugs, and glaucoma drugs.
Mm-hmm. And as mentioned, this is pinned to the top of the St. Kitts Department of Consumer Affairs Facebook page. So persons are encouraged to definitely go and take a look and see what is covered and what is being provided for by the government in terms of price control. So as we mentioned that list now, explain to us how the price monitoring feature of those particular products, because those were the ones that you mentioned are going to be featured on the app and on the website. Explain to us how the price monitoring feature will work and why is this so important?
At the moment, well, let me don't say at the moment. What we are trying to do right now is to go digital. So what will happen is the officers will go into the field as they normally do, but it's going to be with tablets now. Because although the consumers will see one side of the web page, for us at the department, there's a back end to it. And the back end is linked to the price collection. Part of it is the price collection apparatus. So they will have tablets. They will be collecting the prices of each item when they're in the stores. It will be saved in the tablets on a special app to do that. Once they get back to Wi-Fi connectivity, it will sync and upload the information to the back end of the portal. It will be verified by someone in the office, and once everything looks okay with the figures, because somebody could put in a wrong price, they could put Vienna sausage at $16. You know Vienna sausage don't cost $16. So once everything is okay with the prices, it is uploaded and the public is able to view it on the price tracking side. and on the mobile application. You ask why this is important? Well, transparency is always important. It allows the consumers to see what's going on across the market. I mentioned earlier about persons not being able to really price their stuff outside of the range of where they should be. Persons will be able to see where has the best price, and they will be able to go there if it is in their best interest. Somebody in Sandy Point might have something cheaper than in Bastia, but if you're in Bastia, I don't really expect you to drive to Sandy Point because you're burning more in gas than what you stand to gain. But if you're in the Bastia area and a specific store has it at a cheaper price, you're free to go there and patronize them.
Or, as I mentioned, technology transforming the way we shop and do business. You mobile bank someone in Sandy Point and they buy it for you. When they come to town, you get it. We have to be creative. Okay, so you wanted to add something, Mr. Herbert?
That's precisely the transformation, the culture of how we interact with each other, and we utilize the technologies for just making life just a bit more eased. Not so much transparency, but just more beneficial to all of us as a society.
Right. Which businesses will be listed on this app?
Well, if we're looking at the food basket, is major supermarkets in the Bastia area, supermarkets in the rural east area, and supermarkets in the rural west area. So I can't give you a full list of those supermarkets, but it's not just a few in town, it's island-wide.
How you define major?
The ones, you could tell the major ones with how frequent people go to these ones. So I'll name a major one, that would be Rams. That is usually an area where people shop often, so that would be one of the supermarkets. But we also do smaller supermarkets, like, let's say, a Chinese supermarket. So I said major supermarkets, but it's not just major supermarkets. So let me correct myself on that. But we collect information from the Bastia area and rural east and rural west.
Yeah, but to add, when it comes to those small shops where somebody might be selling stuff out of their house and stuff like that, we don't collect information from those.
So no mom and pop shops?
No.
You said the Bastia area, Nevis. Is Nevis not included in the application at this time?
At this time, no. But we have reached out to our Nevis counterparts to give them the information and allow them to see what we are doing, and if in the future they want to hop on board and do the same for Nevis, we are open to that, and we'll just give them the information as to how to go about it. But currently it's saying it's information on the platforms. Now the Act governs St. Kitts and Nevis, but pricing information is basically for the St. Kitts stores. And we are not trying to limit ourselves to just supermarkets. In the future, we are going to expand to taking up prices for hardware materials and stuff like that. So we are starting with what we have now, which is the food basket items and the essential medication, but we will expand in the coming time.
If you're going to include hardware, it goes back to what I asked earlier in terms of like Cheetos. Now, I'm not a fan of necessarily. I'm not advocating for Cheetos. Let me just put it that way. Of course, one should be careful about what they consume and how much they consume it of. But if you're going to include stuff like hardware stores, I mean, how would you determine what products that they have there that needs to be included in the app or on the website that persons would use?
Well, Mr. Queeley could speak to that, because Mr. Queeley right now is building, so he will be able to tell you why that is something he could speak to, because I'm pretty sure homeowners would like to have this information available to them right now, because a lot of people right now are in the market building. So we want to provide as much information to the general public as we can, and we feel in that area that is information that people will like to have.
Mr. Queeley?
Some of these items are I don't know if I should say price control, but they are regulated by the government. So having statistical information for these prices is a good thing. We would be able to track what's going on with the prices, because they could go up because of outside pressure, but we don't want them to be going up because of persons just taking them up because they want to. So having that information is important for statistical verification, statistical tracking over time. We also plan to start looking at furniture and appliances as well. During the December month, or these reduced VAT days, we would do inspections to see what is actually happening when we have the reduced VAT day. If persons are actually increasing their prices for these items, or are they remaining constant? So still goes back to statistics, and we would be able to report back to Cabinet what we see happening in the market. And we will also be able, going forward, to start penalizing people, because the government cannot be trying to help consumers on one hand. You have your price at one level today, and because you know that the sale is coming soon, you change your prices coming up to the sale. So.
And you also must offer the discount. It must be within the range that the government has. I mean, if you want to offer more, that's fine. But it must be within this at the bottom price of it, within the range that it is being discounted by. Because I've heard of cases of that. Now, of course, we encourage interaction on the show. We don't take live calls, but someone would have sent in a message, and you just touched on it in terms of price gouging. They're asking about changing prices on goods from the same batch of shipment. If there's any measures in place to address that, I imagine the app would show that price change. If one person were to have a basket, let's say milk, at one price, and then another has it as an extremely large price, as you mentioned, a Vienna sausage is now $16. That would have been a mistake, but if it is accurate, then certainly that will be reflected in the app.
Yes, it will be reflected in the app, but the price change, a price could change, and it is still within the margins that the government set. So it would be on us to investigate how large is the margin, and we would have to look at the invoices to see if the price actually changed from where they were purchasing it. So it's not all cases where the price might have increased that the person is just doing it because they want to do it, or they increased it and it went outside of the margin. It could increase and it still be within the margin. So it would need an investigation from us to find out what's actually happening.
Okay, and how will consumers know if there is a price change?
Well, one feature we wanted to implement in the app was notice alerts. And there is a notice alert it could be set for a specific price range. So if there is a saving to be had on a particular item, you would get an alert telling you that this price has dropped from maybe $5 to $3. So, but it is dependent on what range we would set in-house to tell the app what is actually an acceptable or a good range to tell persons is a significant savings.
So for instance, if you drop it to 5 cents, you don't need an alert for that.
Yes,
No.
you don't need a price alert for that. So it's only the significant changes in prices, you'll get a price alert in the app.
I hate to ask a question, but significant. Well, what is significance?
Significant goes based on the market, because, okay, for Vienna sausage, like Mr. Queeley said, if Vienna sausage price is usually $4 and when you see the price at $16, that is significant. But if you go back and you see the price is $4.05, that is not significant. So significant for us in the department would be a percentage. So usually from the information that we have collected over the years, we see that prices change maybe 5%, 10%, but prices don't really change 20, 25, 30%. So our significant ranges would be 20% change, 30% change, and so forth.
And Mr. Herbert, is the system going to be automated, or will someone have to go and enter that information appropriately to update prices? How will that work?
Well, the reality is what you see is what you get. Garbage in, garbage out. If the system is absolutely automated, then persons may ask questions. How do we know that what's in the system is indeed reflective of what's taking place in the real world? So it is really crucial that the operatives at Consumer Affairs are the ones that are doing their weekly random price checks and ensuring that the data is indeed reflective of what's taking place on the ground, providing the information, new oil dynamic that we truly want to see here in St. Kitts.
How does enforcement of the Consumer Protection Act tie into digitization and the launch of these two new applications? The digital tools, the app and the website.
Consumer enforcement, well, in terms of the app and the web page, it does not really tie in, I would say, to those specifically, but we have another platform that is coming alongside them, and that is the ticketing platform. Over the years, I've been here for a while, and we've been in the field speaking to persons. Sometimes they might comply, other times they just do whatever they want, and they would sometimes act as though our officers are coming there to clean their shelves for them from expired items. So now we are introducing a ticketing portal. It is not for the public per se. It is in-house and between the magistrate court and us. Okay? So officers will do inspections in the field. If items are expired, just give an example about expired items. If they're expired, they will remove them from the shelves. And if you're a person who we've been speaking to over and over and you've been given warnings, you will be issued a ticket for expired items. That is like $1,000. Yeah, $1,000 ticket. Officer would give you a physical copy. They would come back to the office and input the information from that physical ticket, because there are going to be 3 copies, one for the office, one for the offender, and one for the magistrate court. So they're going to input the information into the system when they get back to the office, fill out all the fields, submit it to magistrate court. It's going to function like a traffic ticket. Once it's sent to the magistrate court, the offender has 10 business days to pay that ticket. If it's not paid, they get a summons and they would have to go to the court to handle that side. But we would hope that they would pay. We would also hope that they don't have a lot of expired items or any expired items out for sale. So that is where the digital, that is how we are moving into the digital era with consumer protection, you could say too, with enforcement. So it's not, as I mentioned, it's not for the public. It is internal and between the magistrate court and us.
But there is a role for the public to play in the sense that if they see something that is expired on the shelf, or if they see something that is overly priced, while the Consumer Affairs Department, they may be diligent, you don't have a manpower everywhere. You don't have a man for each supermarket in St. Kitts and Nevis, and so you rely heavily on the public. Mr. Delaney, perhaps you can weigh in on this as well too. You rely heavily on the public to be the eyes and the ears of the department because it's in their best interest.
Yes, we do. And a feature on the platforms is we have a get in contact with us form, or basically like a help desk. So if consumers are out in the marketplace and they see anything that is suspicious or anything that looks like malpractice or just, you know, anything unfair, any unfair trade practices they see out in the field, they could always contact us and let us know, and then we will dispatch officers to that location and they would do their investigation. So we always encourage people to reach out to the department and let us know what is going on, because like you said, we don't have the manpower to be in every supermarket or every retail store across the island. So we do expect that people would contact us to let us know what they are seeing out there so that we can improve on consumer protection in the Federation.
Is that the same as the consumer complaint feature that's available?
The consumer complaint feature, no, it's not the same. And a key reason why we implemented this other feature is because we know that some people don't have email addresses, and in order to submit the complaint online and get an online complaint ID to track your status of your complaint, you will need an email address. But we do realize that everybody does not have an email address. So then we have the Get in Touch form that you could fill out and just put in your cell phone number, and that message will come to our help desk and we'll contact you. So even if it's a complaint, you can do it through the Get in Touch form, but the Get in Touch form also serves as a way for the public to get in contact with the department anytime, anywhere.
It goes back to a question that I asked earlier, and I'll come back to it in terms of confidentiality. How would I know? How can I rest assured that if I were to use that complaint feature and I submit my information, my telephone number or my email address, in the case of the contact the department form or app device, and I say, well, I'm not going to call in the supermarket's name, but supermarket A is doing something that is wrong, A, B, C, and D. How can I be rest assured that the information that I shared is going to be held confidential and is not going to be shared because the person who maybe reviews the information have a relationship, whether it be family or friend or whatever, with the owner of business A or somebody who is senior in business A?
Well, I'm going to pass this to Mr. Herbert because he can speak more to our privacy policy on our platforms.
It's a good question, Ian. The reality is that technology can do so much. However, it can do so much more. Beauty of the technology is what we call role-based access. The information that's presented in the databases that are contained at Consumer Affairs are not accessible to all and sundry. We have very specific officers with very specific roles who are able to see the limits of the information. Not only that, also the auditing of the system, determining who would have accessed what at what period of time, gives you somewhat of a glance at what the information is being utilized for. And so persons recognizing that if they are interrogating the database, looking at the information for the purpose of meeting their nefarious goals, the reality is there is a trail of such activities. Persons who are trained to use the system can investigate and determine, yes, it is very possible that this report of malpractice of the use of the information was indeed performed by a particular person. So there are quite a few, I would say, system enablements that should not necessarily prevent, but discourage persons from utilizing the data for certain negative courses of action.
Okay.
Also, when you join the civil service, you're required to sign an oath. So you can't really disclose certain information to parties who you may be investigating, because that's a part of your job, so you're going to be compromising the investigation. You can't really do that. So.
And if you do, the system can prove that you did indeed attempt to access the information in a manner that was outside of your norm of practice.
Right, and that speaks to the transparency and accountability that was mentioned earlier. Okay, we're going to take our final break, and then we're going to talk a bit about the businesses, because it was touched on earlier, but as a business, we've spoken a lot about protecting consumers, but what about the businesses? How will they benefit? You can tell us more about that as soon as we get back. Stay with us for our final break. We'll be right back with more in Focus.
This is Tanya, a young mother who just got home from the supermarket. As she unpacks her groceries, something catches her eye. The baby formula she bought expired 3 weeks ago. Worried, she heads straight back to the store to ask for a refund and alert them of the expired products on the shelf. But the manager dismisses her. It's still good, he says, and refuses to give her a refund. But Tanya knows better. This isn't just careless, it's against the law. She contacts the Consumer Affairs Department.
Under Section 87 of the Consumer Protection Act 2023, Selling or displaying expired goods is prohibited, and violators face a $1,000 fixed penalty. Expired products can potentially jeopardize public health.
Tanya was refunded and bought her baby safe up-to-date formula at another store.
If you see expired goods in any store, don't stay silent. Contact the Consumer Affairs Department. We're here to protect your rights and hold violators accountable.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Thanks for staying with us, and we are discussing consumer protection in a digital age here in St. Kitts and Nevis, as the Department of Consumer Affairs is preparing to launch a new app and website that will take consumer protection, consumer rights, consumer education to a new level. And we're having that discussion with Mr. Paul Queeley and Ms. Tricia Delaney from the Department of Consumer Affairs, and supported by Mr. Christopher Herbert, who is with the Digital Transformation Unit, the ones who really help to design and will be maintaining and updating this app. Businesses, if I'm a business, how do I benefit from this new app? How do I benefit from this new website?
Well, like I've said before, the app provides clarity, information, and guidance. So we expect that businesses will use the app to stay informed and to build compliance, because on the app, on the, let's say, well, not on the app, on the platforms, we have the ticketable offenses listed. So businesses can go and look at those offenses and try to make sure their business practices are in compliance so as to not get a ticket, not be fined. So we expect that the platforms will be beneficial to them in that way. Also, for businesses, we provide services where we would actually go and do business presentations to let their staff know what is expected of them from the act, because when we write a ticket, it's going to be written to the registered name of the business, and your staff represent your business. So we offer those training sessions so they could call the department and say, hi, would you come and speak to the staff, let them know what is happening, let them know what the ticketable offenses are, just so that we could avoid the chances of getting a ticket. So we offer those services to businesses. So it's not just consumer-centric. We also provide guidance for the businesses, and it is also on the platforms.
And the link to the Consumer Protection Act, surely they must be aware of what their responsibilities are, so that they don't fall infraction of the law as well.
So they have direct access to the act. So going forward, you have no reason or no, what should I say, no excuse to say, well, I didn't know, because you have direct access to the act. And this act has been passed since 2023, and we have been speaking to businesses since then, and we have been recording that. So we have written verbal warnings that we would have issued to different businesses, so that when we start enforcement with the ticketing, you can say, well, I didn't know, because we have a paper trail on that. So ticketing starts immediately, and immediately we are not allowing businesses to stay non-compliant.
In the case of persons who are, or businesses that are registered on the app, because I mentioned earlier, I asked earlier about who's included, and you use the term major, and you gave a definition for such. If I feel like my business is major enough to be included, is there an application process where I can apply to the department and say, give me a consideration?
No, it doesn't operate like that. As was mentioned earlier, we mainly focus on the businesses that persons really do a lot of shopping at.
I might be overlooked, my business might be overlooked.
But why would you want that though? Because the purpose is not to advertise for businesses, though, yeah? I don't want that to be
And
misconstrued.
that is a disclaimer on our platforms.
We're not advertising for the businesses. We are not displaying sale prices or anything like that. We're just showing what the price of the food basket items are at a particular establishment. There's no application process to get your business on the app or the web page.
But Mr. Queeley, while you said you're not advertising for a business, if I am selling the basket of good items lower than everyone, to my mind, that is an advertisement for my business, because then you should be encouraged to shop at my business.
Well, then you should lower the price of everything in your establishment and let everybody shop there too.
But and the app can help.
Well, the app can help, but as a business owner, you have to take interest in your own competitive advantage. So you have to put yourself out there for the public to see, not to depend on our department to showcase to the public that you have lower prices.
Okay, all right. So let's move on then and talk a bit about then the relationship between the Digital Transformation Unit very briefly, and also Consumer Affairs, because I gather this is a relationship that would need to be ongoing. So Herbert.
It would. The stakeholder engagement, I would say, that surrounded this initiative was of critical importance, I would say. More than just even the CAD, Consumer Affairs Department, and the DTU. We also had, as a part of this development, the developers themselves. The application was not developed in-house. It was not done here in St. Kitts. However, it was done under the guidance of the development unit at the Technology Ministry. So we had about, say, 4 key stakeholders that had to ensure that the necessary handshaking was taking place to have adherence to the best practices, ensure that the developers themselves were indeed meeting those best practices and demonstrating to us that they were moving the project along without exceeding scope requirements and presenting time challenges. And of course, we had to ensure that what the needs of the project owners were indeed being reflected. Going along, we expect that we need to continue to discuss to ensure that what's being presented by the general public, other critical stakeholders in this project, are indeed being reflected. A beauty of the system right now is that it's not static. New content can be added by the CAD. So if there is a recognition that there is new bits of information required based on the questions that are asked by the general public, that content can be presented. If there is new functionality required by the system to reflect the needs of the general public, that indeed can be discussed with us so that we can continue to transition and transform to meet the needs of the general public using our digital tools.
So Mr. Queeley, we've spoken a lot about the app and the website today. When is it going to go live?
The app and the web page goes live next Wednesday. And tickets go live too.
There's a whole ceremony planned around that.
We are planning a launch. We are going to be launching the digital platforms. We are going to have the launch at Kuna Conference Center on Wednesday, the 18th of February. Like Mr. Queeley said, once we launch, we are letting the general public know. Tickets will be issued immediately, so we could come to your place of establishment that same day. We could come next week or whenever, but just know that we will start ticketing immediately, because this has been a long time coming and it is in the best interest for the consumers. And at the end of the day, businesses are also consumers too, so they have to look at it from that standpoint as well.
Can anyone attend the launch ceremony?
No. The reason why is because of spacing. So we would have sent out invitations to stakeholders to attend this launch, and we expect our minister to be there and our counterparts at DTU.
Right, and of course the social media is there, so persons will be able to go back and look at it. Or look at it live. I'm not sure if you're live streaming.
Yeah, we're going to be live streaming.
Okay. All right.
I just want to say before you close that we're not trying to stifle any business from making a profit. Our job in the department is to act basically as a regulator for the businesses. Everybody is supposed to be functioning under the same rules, same laws. You're supposed to have your prices displayed. You're not supposed to have expired things on the shelf for sale for consumers. We usually speak a lot on supermarkets, but consumer protection spans the whole market. So there are a lot of areas that we're supposed to be regulating and policing, and we're going to be doing that in the future.
So in the next 5 years, as you speak about future, where do you see consumer protection here in St. Kitts and Nevis being as a result of the impact of this app and mobile application? Website and mobile application.
Well, as I said, consumer affairs I see it as being a well-established regulator, as I mentioned, for businesses. You have to have adequate laws and you have to have adequate enforcement behind those laws to maintain structure in the market. You cannot have businesses operating willy-nilly, so the Consumer Affairs Department will be here to protect consumers. We're sorry we cannot set the prices of items in the market, but that is not our intended goal. We are regulators of businesses, as I said.
Right. And quickly, we're out of time, but before we do, why should I download the app? Anybody?
Why should you download the app?
Yes.
Because the app presents clean, simple information, consumer-related information on the go. So even though we have a website and an app, they are both distinctly equal, but the app is like a condensed version of the website with just certain key features. The website is the comprehensive information hub where you could get all consumer-related information. So it's good to always have the app on the go, and we hope that everybody downloads it. Yeah. It's the SKN Smart Shopper app, and yeah.
And we'll be looking forward to learning a bit more about the information collected and how the app is working, how many persons would have downloaded and be making use of that. All right, so Christopher Herbert, Program Manager, and of course, Ms. Delaney from Consumer Affairs, Communications Officer, and Mr. Paul Queeley, Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs. Thank you so much for being with us today on InFocus. Okay. We'd like to thank you, viewers and listeners, for joining us for this edition of InFocus. We trust that you will join us next week at the same place at the same time for another edition. Remember, at InFocus, we discuss your government, your business. I'm Ian Richards.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.